Well, today's the day. It's the 15th. It's time to do your taxes.
I don't even know what it means anymore. Does the TV station, do they still put people out at the post office? I mean, are they doing that? Because everything's filed online now.
Is that... I don't know. We got a tax man right here. We got Jeff's tax man on the phone. Taxman Billy.
How many... Do you have any statistics on what percentage of people still send, like, old traditional mail? Like, they go next door instead of having you push a button on your phone. They go next door and stand in line at the post office?
I'd have to tell you it's a really low percentage. I can tell you I do have a few... I use the word old-timers that are set on mailing it in, even though I try and explain to them that they're better off e-filing right now. But that percentage has got to be less than a fraction of a percent.
Because even if you e-file, you get it back in such a quicker fashion, don't you?
Absolutely, but a lot of those people of an older generation don't trust computers. So
I gotcha.
They're not going to push send on a computer. They still want me to mail it, and they still want to print it out and have to go to the post office, find out how much postage goes on it because there's so many documents now that have to go with it. So.
Oh, jeez. Billy Gallant.
Yeah, it's old school.
He is the tax man, H&R Block, Paso Robles. So, I mean, I know we're going to ask you...
I think he goes by William in certain tax circles.
Only on the professional setting.
Yeah. How much do I have to make a year for me to, to go by, for you to go by William? Is it 6 figures? Is it more than 6 figures?
Well, I don't know. If I win fantasy football next year, then I'll come up with another name for you to call me.
Okay.
So there'll be plenty of them.
I'm sure. I want to cover some things that people need to make sure they get done today, and that's why we got you on the phone. But I mean, this must be like a marathon for you. Like, how many hours will you put in today?
We'll easily put in. I was in this morning at around 5:00, and we'll be done. We'll push it to midnight if we have to. So. I mean, it's a good 18, 19-hour day.
Oh, but after this, it must be nice to know that, well, I'm sure that there's some things you have to tidy up after midnight tonight.
yeah, but tomorrow, I'll roll in the office around 10:00 with shorts and flip-flops and,
a hangover.
Have my coffee in hand and lock the door behind me and do a couple things to clean up for the season. But, yeah, no, it's definitely get to breathe and sleep in tomorrow. Even my kids know not to come in and wake Dad up just because he's home.
So I was asking Jeff, I was like, isn't it too late? I mean, today's the tax day. And he says, well, you got to get everything in by today, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Today's the deadline. You got to do something by today. So whether you're going to file an extension, which we can talk about is only an extension for the actual filing, not the balance due if you owe money, or you're going to file your taxes, you have to do something. You can't think, I'll take care of it tomorrow because tomorrow's too late.
So what do you, say, I'm just hearing this conversation between the three of us right now, and I totally forgot that, wow, it's already the middle part of April because people's lives get busy. I understand. What steps should people take today to file that extension and get that stuff done?
They have a couple options. I mean, obviously, we'll file them all day long for people. We can do them over the phone. If people call in, we can take their information, file extensions. They can do them themselves online if they're computer savvy. They can print it and mail it. They have a couple options as far as filing an extension. Excuse me. Like I noted earlier, it is only an extension for the actual tax filing. So what people don't seem to understand is that it is not an extension to pay. So as of tomorrow, as of the 16th, the interest, the penalties, anything that they being the man can assess, they'll start as of tomorrow. By filing an extension, even if you don't have the money to pay at the moment, it will minimize some of those penalties and the interest and things like that they can assess.
And typically, is there ever an instance in which they don't grant you an extension? I mean, is there do they make judgments like that, or is
no?
Do you have
for
a
the
right
most part,
to it?
if people, somebody would have to be in a pretty bad standing situation as far as their overall standing with the government to not be granted an extension. If they go through the work to submit an extension, they'll extend. They'll accept the extension.
So does the president get an extension if he asks for an extension?
Well, I'll see. I'll let you know tomorrow. Let's see. so I do a little research.
We got the tax man, Billy Gallant, on the phone, or William, if you make a lot of money. He's at H&R Block, Paso Robles. And so what is the one thing we'll take away from this tax season? I know everybody was kind of excited about this deduction thing doubling, but it kind of bit a lot of people in the ass because they didn't realize that less was being taken out of their paychecks, and they weren't giving enough to the government, so they ended up owing or not getting as big as a return. I mean, is that the big thing we take away, and how do we fix that moving forward?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it on the head. You know, the majority of people that we're seeing at the tax desk are paying less in tax to income as a percentage basis than they probably have ever or in a very long time. But the problem is, like you noted, a lot of us that have withholding, you know, when those withholding tables came down from the government, they were off. They were wrong. So a lot of people had less withheld than they needed. The drop in the taxes is less than the drop in the withholding, resulting in either a lower refund that they usually would get or expect, a balance due, you know, whatever one it is. And I just had this conversation with a client this morning. I think that in the long run, once we get everything kind of dialed in, get the withholdings fixed and everything else, you're going to see people continue to pay less tax to income as a percentage than they have in the past. But you know, as with anything, you know, there's a learning curve. So we have to make sure that we get everything set up, deductions and withholding and everything else. You know, a lot of people think they kind of got screwed this year.
Yeah, I mean, why didn't we know about this?
They did.
You know, why didn't we know that? I mean, if we're paying less taxes, that sounds great. And I know that, you know, Trump and the Republicans, they were all up there saying, hey, this is the best tax cut ever. And you just said it, that you're paying less taxes ever. But we kind of got screwed because maybe we'll blame Lester Holt because he didn't break it on the news. Like, tell us, man. Tell us that we got to deduct more.
Here's the problem is that, and I completely agree with you, but the issue is as you and I probably are both aware, the government doesn't work fast. So by the time they realized their withholding tables were off, you know, it was Thanksgiving and coming into Christmas already. So when they said, oh, hey, we might be a little off when you file your taxes next year.
Oh, yeah. By the way, the first 4 months of next year, we're going to take about half of them off because there's a dispute going on. And then also, you might be a little shocked by the tax thing coming down.
Exactly. I think that after today, when all these taxes get filed and everybody actually sees what the outcome is, they may shut down again just to try and to keep people off their back for a while.
Billy Gallant, taxman, Paso Robles, H&R Block. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. Is still the best write-off a house payment?
With the new tax law, I'd probably tell you no. I'm not sure what the best tax write-off is at the moment, but a lot of people, depending on the value of the house and the interest that you're paying and the taxes, you know, there's so many limitations now in those cases that we used to tell everybody to go out and buy a house or have a kid, and I'm not sure which one's better at this point, or if either one of them make up for it in your taxes. So,
all right. Well, I'll keep renting then. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we'll contact our offshore people. I mean, that's
exactly.
a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke.
Thanks, buddy.
I mean,
hey,
never mind.
Good luck today. Don't overdo it.
Thanks, gentlemen. We'll see you later.
Yeah, man. Would you like to be him today? Think about the longest day of your life, and that's probably what he's going through right now.
It was nice of him just to take a few minutes to talk with us, really.
I don't know if it helped anybody, but it's always good to hear.
The good thing is we got him early, you know?
Yeah.
We got him early in the day. Having that conversation with about 9 o'clock tonight, probably much different.
How much caffeine? I wonder if he drinks a lot of coffee. Like,
subscribe to the Jeff and Jeremy podcast now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. It's your Central Coast commute-friendly podcast.